Hey, this is Big Judah coming back at you here from Southern California. Bring you guys another video. I wanted to talk a little bit about white privilege today. I've seen this video on YouTube a couple times and it's been shared quite a bit. And it's funny because, a lot of Edomites, agree with what the guy says, and a lot of the other nations, agree with what this guy says. And it's just so funny how, now that we're at the end of Esau's reign, they are so hell bent on showing that they do not have white privilege, never had white privilege, and that everything has been equal the entire time. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. But I mean, this is the way that they're wired. They can't understand. They can't think anything different. So we're going to take a look at this guy's video and then kind of compare what he has to say with some scriptures. White privilege, hey, dude, that's been your blessing. So it's like, why not just accept it instead of just fighting it and acting like you guys, these other nations, Esau and the other nations, have not experienced some type of privilege. I have no problem with them having white privilege because that is what the Most High ordained for them. He said the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So therefore, you're supposed to have white privilege. You're supposed to be enjoying life and enjoying everything. Okay. So, but now, when someone brings it up that that they've been enjoying white privilege, then they have a problem. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this guy has to say.
I was just running some errands, and I pull up to the bank. Excuse my language. I'm going to try not to cuss at all, but I'm pretty fired up. I was pulling up to the bank, and I'm driving one of my favorite cars. It's an Audi R8, super cool car, my dream car, honestly. And I pull up, I hop out, I start going to the bank, and this guy's kind of walking by, and he looks at me, he goes, "F you and your white privilege." And he goes, "F and white people." So I look at him, and I don't get angry. I look at this as an opportunity. Like, this is a guy that's obviously got some sort of pain in his life. Something's going on either currently or has gone on that caused him to have that reaction, not having any idea who I am, what I'm about, what's going on. He just sees me hopping out of a fancy car. So I walk up to him and I go, "Yeah, I got some white privilege. You want to hear about it?" And he goes, "Yeah, tell me."
Before the guy gives you his sob story about how he's suffered and had a couple of things happen in his life and how he's overcome, that's what Esau loves to do. It's like, well, I've had hard things, I've had things happen, but I've overcome. But the thing is that this system has been set up for them to overcome. No one said that the other nations weren't going to have adversity. Everyone experiences adversity. Okay. But the system is still set up so that the other nations can get above the Hebrews. Like I said, and at this point, hey, I have no problem with that because that's the will of the Most High. I'm not fighting that anymore. A lot of the people want to always fight and fight Esau, and it's like, hey, that's what the Most High, our Father, gave him that blessing. Okay, that is the blessing that the Most High gave to Esau. Okay, and let me get that real fast so I can actually read that. Let me find it here. It's going to be in Genesis. If I can find it here, my computer's kind of acting up here a little bit. Genesis 27, 39. It started around 39. Genesis 27 and 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. So Esau's going to have the nicest places. They're going to have the fatness of the earth. Okay? And that's what was given to him. Okay? That was a blessing bestowed on him by his father, ultimately by the Most High. 27 and 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So yes, Esau is going to have dominion. The other nations are going to have dominion. They're going to be enjoying the fatness of the earth, And like I said, hey, that's okay. But the problem is Esau wants both. Esau wants his blessing, and he also wants Jacob's blessing. He wants to be able to live here in the fatness of the earth and then say Jesus, and then we can all go hand in hand into the kingdom and enjoy that as well. And that's not what's going to happen. Okay. The wicked was given the earth. Esau was given the fatness of the earth. But see, now we're getting to the point where it's payback time, and they're having a hard time with that. But let's listen to the Esau sob story here and how he overcame. Okay, here we go.
And you got to imagine, by the way, he's like a 6'4", 6'5" black guy, like a big dude. So I get up in his space a little bit. I go, yeah, I got the kind of white privilege to where my dad and my mom split up when I was about 2.5 years old, and he leaves. I don't see him for almost 30 years until I go look him up, and I spent my entire childhood, young adult, and most of my adulthood wondering what I did wrong as a kid to cause my dad not to come around anymore. And I lived without a father figure for a really long time. So yeah, I got that kind of white privilege. I also have the kind of white privilege where I don't have any formal education after a high school diploma. So yeah, I got that kind of white privilege too. I said, oh yeah,
Now, my son likes cars, so he knows about these Audi R8s, and the guy is talking about how, well, I don't have any formal education, but that shows white privilege because you have nothing higher than a high school education and you're rolling around in $100,000 car. That's one of your favorites. So when you say one of your favorites, you kind of imply that you have other cars as well. Okay. But that's how the system is set up. So that you don't have to Esau doesn't have to get the same kind of degrees and diplomas and everything else and certification that Jake does to even get his foot or his or her foot even, in the door. People like this can just kind of, hey, I got a high school diploma. I got, I'll get my certain opportunities, and I'm able to buy $100,000 car with a high school diploma. I don't know very many Jakes who roll around in $100,000 plus car that have less than a college degree. You know, I don't see that, and most of the ones that I have seen rolling around in a really nice car that don't have a degree are usually probably doing it illegally. Okay, but let's go ahead and listen now.
let me tell you, my brother, my half brother's white privilege. Same mom, different dad. The stepdad that ended up raising me most of my childhood ended up being an alcohol abusive guy. Caused my brother, in my brother's world, to go run away, join a gang, in and out of prison dozens of times, living mostly on the streets, getting shot in the middle of the freaking street, partially paralyzing his legs from further complications, lead him to have an amputated leg and a prosthetic like right now. That's the kind of white privilege I have. Sound familiar at all? And he's literally just staring at me. And he goes, my dad left too when I was a young age. And I go, I bet there's a lot of us out there like that. I said, but your history, your past, does not determine your future.
All right, so this is one of the things that Esau loves to talk about, how your history does not determine your past. Now, see, this is what happens. A couple of videos ago, I made, I think, something that discusses some of the laws that were passed, okay, which is totally not true what this guy is just saying. When you set up a system where whites can only buy properties and they're buying properties for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and are passing down those homes down from generation to generation, and they're setting up unions that people of color were not allowed to join. You're setting up Social Security where blacks and Latinos probably are not able to actually get the benefits when they get sick and they get older. Okay, and that's just recent. So and then the thing was that it was talking about how even today, uh, blacks make 60% of what whites make. They make 60% of what white people make, and they only have 5% of the black families only have 5% of the wealth that white families have, and that is mostly attributed to the gains and equity from the housing that blacks were not allowed to actually participate in. So when you're able to pass down these types of homes and give these people these kinds of privilege and give these people that kind of a head start, of course they're going to be further ahead. But see, Esau wants to act like they've done all these different things, but then don't look back at that. We're all going to look at where we're at today and we're going to move forward. Well, I can't compete with someone who has a house given to them for free, okay, who doesn't have to pay a mortgage. Okay. I can't compete with someone whose daddy or uncle or friend, is a CEO of something of a company, and they can just give them, they don't have to have the same qualifications, but they're able to get jobs. Okay. I was never going to be able to go with a high school diploma and go buy $100,000 car. Shoot, I have a degree. I have 5 years of education. I still can't afford $100,000 car. And my wife also has a degree. And we both can't afford $100,000 car. So that just shows the difference and how the discrepancy is. Okay. We have to have degrees and pieces of paper in order to just get our foot in the door. Okay. And the other nations, they don't need to have all that. Most of the time, it's if they know someone. Okay, that's how this world works. Okay, it's not about what you have. Okay, your qualifications, is about who you know. But let's go ahead and continue how everything's fair, what this guy's going to start talking about.
You need to hang around with people that don't have a common past as you, but has a common future as you. So let me ask you a question. You walk around mostly with a chip on your shoulder, mostly angry, because obviously you were angry a minute ago when you just told me to F off. And he said, yeah. I said, I bet you access anger pretty easily. He goes, yeah. I go, you know why? Because we were lied to. Me too. Me too. I had got the same lie as you. I was told that all I had to do was be successful, get the hot wife, get the money in the account, get a cool car, get a great job, whatever it was, then I'll be happy. And we got a lot of people running around chasing happiness. And you know what I found out? Happiness comes first, because I was happy when I had nothing. I figured out a way to have happiness when I had nothing. And you know why? Because I realized that the universe doesn't owe me a frickin' thing. There's not one. I don't matter at all. And we all don't matter equally. The universe doesn't.
Okay, well, like you said there, we all don't matter equally. Well, see, that's not true. Okay, in this society, Esau and the other nations matter more. That's just how it is. But according to the Most High, it's the opposite. His guy's right. The other nations are nothing. That's biblical. If you go to Second Esdras 6:56 and on, it talks about how the other nations are as spittle. They are nothing. Okay, and if you go to Isaiah 43, it talks about how the Most High loves Israel. Okay, Joel 2:27, he's the God of Israel and none else. Okay, so the Most High does love one group of people. So we're not all nothing equally. The other nations that the Most High doesn't care about is pretty much nothing, because that's what he says, not because I said it. Okay, but that's what the scriptures say. Okay, let's continue.
Doesn't owe me anything. So because I have that belief, I woke up every day knowing I owe the universe everything. I owe the people around me the absolute best me. That's how I contribute. And that's how you can become successful, when you have the happiness and the willingness to show gratitude and give to other people, not sling hate at a stranger just because they have a nice car. That's not going to get you anywhere. I said, what are you searching for right now? And he said, honestly, I'm looking for a job. I said, how do you pay your bills right now? And he goes, I get checks, I go, from the government? And he goes, yeah, from the government. I go, the government's not paying you that. I go, you know where the money's coming from? It's coming from the Mexican dude that was just working on a job site I was at, who is here legally paying taxes so he can send money back to his family. That's who's paying your rent. It's the 40-year-old nurse working a double shift, taking a nap between shifts so she can be on point to help the people in the waiting room that she's got to deliver some bad news to. That's who's paying your rent. It's coming from the 22-year-old single mom with 2 kids working double jobs so she can put food on the table, paying her taxes, paying her fair share to pay your rent. How does that make you feel? That's who's paying your freaking rent.
All right, Esau. So this is kind of funny here. Esau is quick to talk about how Black people and Latinos and minorities are taking advantage of the system and not earning their own fair share. Well, let's go back a little bit of history here, for these Edomites and these other people who keep talking all this mess. When this country was founded, there was a program called the Head Right Program, and it gave pilgrims 50 acres of land per person that came here. If they brought slaves here, they got 50 acres of land for themselves and for each slave. Okay, that was a big government program, a big government giveaway of land that wasn't theirs. You take from one group of people and give it to someone else. Okay, now and then the next one was the Indian Removal Act, when they act like they were doing the Indians a favor by making them leave their lands so that white people could take those lands for free. Okay, so that was the Indian Removal Act. Okay, another big government program that benefited white people predominantly. Okay, then they went into the Midwest and they took those lands, homesteading, giving 180 acres of land to predominantly white people. Another big government program right there. Okay, so and then that moves back into the New Deal and all those other things I was talking about with the FHA programs. Okay, and then the Wagner Act, where they were giving they were letting people unionize but not allowing Black people to participate. Okay, so you've had all these huge government programs that have only benefited white people for hundreds of years. This is actually going back hundreds of years in your slavery, where you had free labor for hundreds of years that predominantly helped white people and this country set up the entire system for themselves. So now you're going to sit here and talk about how, oh, you're getting government checks. Well, hold on, man. The entire system has benefited you guys this entire time. And you have the nerve or the audacity to sit there and talk about how this guy's getting checks to pay his rent. when you guys have been doing things for hundreds of years that have only benefited you. But see, this is what happens when the guy like this runs up on someone who doesn't know anything. You run up on someone like that who doesn't know anything, then you can be they can easily be manipulated. But if you run across some Hebrew that actually knows something and can sit there and shut you down, then they have nothing to say. Then, oh, we don't want to live in the past. Well, we're living in the past, bro. I said, you guys are benefiting from everything that's happened in the past. Okay? Very prideful. These people, they don't want to admit what's happened in the past. And they want to they want to get all the benefits, but they don't want to have to admit to anything that that has happened in the past that has helped them. So let's read a quick scripture here. Psalms chapter 10, verse 2, talking about these, how prideful these people are. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. These other nations have, persecuted the poor. They've persecuted the poor and they've taken advantage of them for their own gains. Okay. Verse 3. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. So they boast about all the things that they've done. They boast about their heart's desire. Okay. And they bless people who are covetous, who are just, trying to take other things. That's who they bless. Stealing things, taking things that don't belong to them. Verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. Okay. And as you're going to hear in a little bit, he's going to talk about, how you need to succeed in this society. And none of it is ever looking to the Most High. It's always looking for things that they can do for themselves. Okay. And verse 5, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. So like this guy's talking about the black guy who kind of confronted him. And he's like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to teach him something that we know we're all equal and we can all be happy if we just want to work hard for it. And that's just not the truth at all. Let's continue.
And I needed him to understand really how the world works. There is no free rides out there. There's no, money just doesn't come out of the sky, doesn't just come from anywhere. It comes from everybody else. So if you're
So like you just said, there's no free rides. You're right. There are no free rides. Even for the other nations have experienced free rides for hundreds of years. And now that train is about to stop. And so they're quick to talk about how other people need to work hard in order to achieve, in the society. But like I said, they never talk about the things that they've benefited from. Okay. You're right. Nothing comes for free. So they've taken advantage of our people this entire time. The Most High, allowed us to be at the bottom to build up their kingdom. And now that train is about to stop.
accepting that money, just know where it's coming from. Don't lie to yourself. See, people like this guy have been lying to himself for way too long, giving himself a BS story.
Okay, so you can easily say that about the black guy he was talking to, but you can easily say the same thing about Esau. Esau has been lying to himself, saying that he built this place, he's done everything, he's earned everything. Esau's lying to himself on a grand scale. Okay, maybe the other guy is talking about, well, I've had it rough. Okay, yeah, but Esau's lying to himself by making it sound like he's a self-made man. He's done everything on his own, because that has not been the case at all. Esau and the other nations are lying to themselves. They don't want to admit that they've benefited from slave labor. They've benefited from the harsh treatment of the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans and stealing their land and everything else. Okay, they doesn't want to admit to that though. Let's continue.
That the world owes him something. He's not going to be anything in the future because he had a rough past, and it's all a bunch of BS. And yet we do that, and the people around ourselves, people around us, allow us to do that too. It is a lie, you guys. It is a lie. We all have the equal ability to be happy. Doesn't matter what's going on around us.
Okay, so we all have the equal ability. That's Esau and the other nations. We all have the equal ability to be happy. That is, at this point, if you still believe in that lie, you're lying to yourself. Just like he just said earlier about us, but he's lying to himself as well. If he can't sit there and see that, the whole world is stacked against the Hebrews, but it wasn't the other nations that did it. The Most High set it up that way. Okay. Let me see here. Let me read this scripture here. Psalms 73 and 12. Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. See, these ungodly are the ones who are prospering in this world. Okay. They increase their riches. Okay. They don't think about how they get into this point, but they just pretty much say that they've done it all on their own. Okay. And that we've all had equal opportunity to be happy, but all of us are just choosing not to be happy.
The equal ability to discern what's happening to us, give it its unique meaning that causes happiness or causes growth to do something awesome in the future. That's what I wanted for this man. And I said, by the way, what kind of job are you looking for? We started talking about what he's looking for. And he goes, a management job. I said, what makes you think that you deserve a management job? What about a regular job? He goes, I want to be a manager. I go, cool. Let me test you real quick. How many management jobs have you had in the past? He goes, well, no, but I've been an assistant manager before. I said, good. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's truly awesome. I said, but you never had a management job before? He goes, no. I said, well, what makes you think you deserve one? He starts giving me the line. I go, no, hold on a second. I go, let me test you again. How many books have you read on management in the last week, month, 6 months, year? He said, 0. I said, okay. How many seminars have you been to? How many classes have you taken? How many webinars have you looked up online about management skills or leading people or running a business? And he admitted he had been to 0. I said, you don't have a management job because you don't have the management skills. Stop lying to yourself that you deserve a management job if you don't have the skills. I said, go.
Like I said, this is kind of funny because it reminds me of a story. I'm going to tell you guys real quick. When my wife was and I were both going to college, she was actually working full time, and she was working for this company. And the guy, he's really really rich, owns a whole bunch of apartment complexes, and among other things. But this guy refused to hire black people. You know, this is the corporate world, so they kind of get away with doing whatever it is they want. My wife got hired. She's Latina. She got hired because her last name. She had my last name. They didn't really hire Latinos either. Only Latinos they would hire were ones that they would use to clean the apartments. But she got a job in the corporate office because she didn't really look Latina, and she whatchamacallit, they gave her the job in the corporate office. And after that, they kind of found out that she spoke Spanish. So they pretty much used her for interpreting and everything else. She was already there. They paid her minimal compared to the other people that were there. But the thing was that she was going to school to get her business degree. So she wanted to get into management. And they told her, well, once you get your degree, we're grooming you now and we'll give you a management position. So, she worked really hard. She was going to school full time. She was working full time, and she gets her degree. But what does Esau do? Esau says, "Whoa, well, I can't give you a degree, or I can't give you a manager position until I put you back out in the field again because you need more experience." Mind you, this woman's was when she did leave, they had to hire 3 different people to do her job because one person couldn't do all the things she was doing. They had to hire 3 other people. Okay. But she wasn't qualified. Even though she got the degree, she got the piece of paper they told her to get, they still would not give her the position. Mind you, the people in the HR were hiring the boss's cousins, nieces, sons, and everything else for high management positions. They didn't all have degrees. They weren't all qualified, but they just got these cushy jobs right from the beginning. Why? Because of who they know. And see, that's the thing with the Most High and the Holy Spirit. They teach us things through life. We might not understand what's going on way back then, but once we come into the truth, then things start to make much more sense. Okay. These people don't all work super hard. It's all about who and it's funny how this guy elevates himself and it's like, I'm going to test him. I'm going to ask him questions. He's going to have to answer things to me. And I'm like, dude, who the hell are you? We don't have to answer to you. I say, this is your kingdom. Enjoy it. I said, but it's coming to an end. Okay. And you're not above, where we have to try to get your approval, you to tell us how we're going to actually do better in the future. But let me go ahead and just let this guy finish ranting here for a minute.
Go get a job, any job. Start getting that momentum. Start getting that satisfaction of earning a paycheck on your own, getting up with a purpose. I said, why you get that income coming in, then you go buy those books. Then you go to those seminars. Then you go to those webinars. Then you impress your boss. Then you work your way to a management job.
See, that it is. You got to impress Esau. You got to be the good house slave. All right. Then maybe then if you get the piece of paper and you impress Esau, maybe then we'll give you a better job. See how they are? See, you just kind of sneak that in, right? Okay. While these other people are getting jobs just because of who they are. Okay. But let me read a little something out of some of the other books here. Okay. That goes along with what we're talking about here. This is an excerpt from the Perfect Discourse. Okay, this is what's going on here in this world and what this guy's talking about here too. People will prefer darkness to light and death to life. No one will gaze up to heaven. The godly will be considered mad, and the impious will be honored as wise. The coward will be considered strong, and the good person will be punished as a criminal. Concerning the soul and the things of the soul, and whatever has to do with immortality, along with the rest of what I have explained to you, okay, these things will not only be considered ridiculous, they will also be regarded as nothing. Okay. Believe me, people like this will expose themselves to the ultimate danger to their souls. Okay. And that's what everything here is backwards. Like we have to go to this guy, people like this, who've had everything given to them, but then want to act like they've earned everything. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue here.
Then when you earn that management job, it's going to make you feel so good. So right now, don't go looking for a management job. If you don't got those management skills, don't lie to yourself. Don't have the 40-year-old nurse pay your rent. Don't have the immigrant. Don't have the 20-year-old single mom pay your rent. You pay your rent. You earn your fair share, because then you get to walk around with some pride. Doesn't matter what kind of job you have. You take care of your business. You mentioned he had a couple of kids. I go, be a leader for those boys. Show them what a man is like. Don't do what your dad did to you. Don't use that as an excuse. I go, if you're going to blame your dad for all the shitty things that happened in your life, then you also got to blame him for all the good things too. You got to blame him for teaching you to be independent, right? You got to blame him for the good thing. If you're going to blame something for the bad stuff, you can't stop there. You also got to blame those pains or those people that dissed you in life.
Now, see, this guy's telling on himself again. See, we've got to he's telling us that we have to, accept the good things and the bad things that our Father has done for us. But see, look at them. They don't want to accept anything. They don't want to talk about anything that's the good things that their fathers have left for them. Okay. They quickly do. That goes to them. Okay. Because their fathers have left them a paradise. A paradise was left to them. Okay. So they get the paradise, and they get everything handed to them. So you got to accept the good with the bad, Esau. You got to accept the fact that, yes, you live deliciously because your dad has set everything up for you. But now you got to accept that payment is now due, and you're going to have to pay it. But see, that's what we got to accept the good and the bad, but they don't. They can get all the benefits, but then when we tell them it's time for them to have to pay, oh, no, 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 no. No, that's not true. That's not true. We don't have to do that. Yeah, yes, buddy. Yes, you do. And that's why Lamentations 4:21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. Now, like I said, so you've had all the fun, you've had all the rewards from your fathers. Now it's time to pay. Okay? Take the good with the bad, Esau. Okay? You can't just get the good and then think that you don't have to pay. That's not how it works.
For all the good things too that have happened in your life, because they earn that blame too. So at that point in time, and I'm way condensing this down. I'll just tell you this: we ended up hugging. Okay, he went from telling me to F off to us hugging. And then I tell him what? I said, I'm not going to give you anything today. I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to give you any other advice. I said, but I'm going to give you my phone number, and you can call me if you need to know what books to read.
There you go. Again, Esau elevated himself to a position to where you need to ask him for things. You need to ask him to help you out. Okay? Now, let me read one last thing here, okay? From the book of Thomas, okay? Blessed are you who weep and are oppressed by those who have no hope, for you will be released from all bondage, okay? Watch and pray that you may not remain in the flesh, but that you may leave the bondage of the bitterness of this life. And when you pray, you will find rest, for you have left pain and reproach behind. Now, we are being we weep and we're oppressed by those who have no hope. The other nations have no hope. This is their lot. This is their time. Okay. I'm not upset anymore. I understand how everything has been set up. The Most High and the Holy Spirit have opened my eyes up to many different things. Now I'm just learning and sharing and watching this kingdom being taken down. I'm watching, the true Hebrews and the elect being awakened, and being able to see the world for what it really is. The other nations, they can't see it. They are very prideful. They won't admit to how they have benefited from absolutely everything, and that's okay, because the Most High said it was going to be like that, because it's going to be a shock when the end comes and they find out that we're not all walking into heaven hand in hand, after all this. Okay. And if it was me, I'd have a hard time believing it also. I wouldn't want to believe it either. Okay. So with that, I hope this video was edifying. Shalom.